Can you name a branch of government? How about all three of them in the United States? Well, if you can, then you are in rare company, I guess, because according to a recent survey by the Annenberg Public Policy Center of the University of Pennsylvania, only 1 in 3 about Americans can name all three. Another 1/3 can only name one. 1 in 3 can't name a single branch of government at all. Look at these numbers here. I mean, they couldn't even come up with like Parliament or the Jedi Council or something like that. Basically split amongst thirds in not knowing any, knowing one, and knowing all three. And understand that the high school graduation rate in this country is pretty high. Many have gone to college. So there are a significant number of Americans who are leaving high school and then leaving college and not being able to name even just Congress, like say legislative branch, just say that. Say the executive branch. You know that we have a president, I have to imagine. A little bit more information from this. Only 27% of those polled answered correctly that it takes 2/3 of the House and Senate members to vote in favor of overriding a veto. I'll give them a little bit more leeway, I guess, on that because it's a little bit more in depth than being able to name the actual branches of government. 21% of Americans answered incorrectly when asked if a 5-4 decision of the Supreme Court means that the decision moves to congressional consideration. I think that that's sort of one where it's sort of like a trick question almost, in that if you describe something really complicated, they will err on the side of saying that it's true if they don't really know. But of course, that doesn't actually exist. There's other information in this, and I'll link to the article that covers you can get the actual information from the study there. But this is distressing, I would say. I understand that I'm in a bit of a bubble, and you watching this show are in a bit of a bubble because you care enough to actually go on the internet day after day and try to learn a little bit more about what's going on in this country and around the world. That makes you a bit different than most people, but this makes them different in a whole different way, I guess, a whole nother way. Not being able to name a branch of government. Now, I understand that for many people, you can certainly get through your day-to-day life. This information doesn't actually come up. But it doesn't mean that it's not affecting you. Knowing so little about politics that you can't even name the judicial branch, I mean, that has to tell me that you're not doing anything really to actually change politics, to get the political outcomes that you actually want or would benefit from. And if you are opting out of the system, then how can you be surprised if in the long run it doesn't provide you with the outcome that you would prefer? Now, from my point of view as a member of the media, my job, at least to some extent, is to try to educate people about this. I mean, I mainly discuss it because I find it to be interesting. It's what I went to school for. I like talking about it, and I like starting up a dialogue with all of you. But I have to assume that me as one member of the political media, of which there are many, many different facets of it, from online to TV, newspapers and magazines and all of that, like we're obviously not doing what we need to do to make it interesting enough that people want to pay attention to it and to learn more about it. And so my question for all of you right now is, what can the media, defined however broadly you want, what can they do to make people care about politics, to make it interesting or exciting on a daily basis? What are we doing that stops us from accomplishing that goal? And I guess a necessary follow-up to that is, should we? If people care so little that they can't even name the executive branch of government, then how much should you care about them being involved? I bring that up as sort of a devil's advocate thing, because recently Fox has been talking about this, and they've made very clear that if you don't know about politics, they don't want you voting, which seems on some level noble, I guess. They must think that it is, but that I think that's an evasion, and it's a failure. Everyone should understand how politics impacts their life and should be prepared with the tools necessary to engage in political debate and then to go out and actually make some sort of impact on politics. And I think that just throwing your hands up in the air to people's ignorance and saying they don't matter or they shouldn't matter, I don't think that is in fitting with the philosophical underpinnings of American democracy. I want them to care, I want them to be ready, and I want to know what I need to do to help that actually happen.